In the vast expanse of the South Atlantic, there exists a place so remote that it has rightfully earned the title of the most isolated settlement on Earth. This is Tristan da Cunha, a tiny volcanic peak that's a world away from anything else. And its lone settlement, named Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, clings to a small coastal plain, home to fewer than 250 people. So why does anybody live on Tristan da Cunha, and why can't anyone else move there? To answer this question, we have to first understand the tyranny of distance. Tristan da Cunha is not just far away, it's extremely isolated. The nearest inhabited land is the island of St. Helena, itself also a remote British territory, located a staggering 2,430 kilometers to the north. To the east, the coast of South Africa lies over 2,800 kilometers away, while the shores of South America are more than 3,300 kilometers to the west. These are not mere statistics. They are the impenetrable walls of Tristan's watery fortress. And to add to the isolation, there's no airport and no landing strip carved into the volcanic rock. The only connection to the outside world is from the sea. A fishing vessel from Cape Town makes the journey only about 8 or 9 times a year, a voyage that, depending on the weather, can take a week or longer. Suffice it to say, this journey is not a simple ferry ride or luxury cruise. The island itself is the top of a massive shield volcano that rises from the abyssal plain of the ocean floor. Its classic conical shape is dominated by Queen Mary's Peak, a snow-capped summit that soars 2,062 meters above sea level. This peak is not just a landmark, it's the heart of the island's weather system, often shrouded in cloud and funneling fierce winds down its slopes. The coastline is a formidable ring of sheer cliffs, some reaching over 600 meters high, that plunge directly into the sea. These cliffs render nearly the entire perimeter of the island inaccessible, a natural defense against the relentless pounding of the Atlantic waves. Only one small, relatively flat area exists on the northwestern coast, the settlement plain. It's here, and only here, that humans have been able to gain a foothold, creating the village of Edinburgh of the Seven Seas. The island's location places it very near the path of the Roaring Forties, a strong westerly wind system that circulates the globe in the southern hemisphere. This means that the island gets much of the same passing weather systems and, because it's such a small island, feels it much more acutely. This constant wind, combined with its oceanic setting, creates a temperate but notoriously unpredictable maritime climate. Sudden squalls, persistent rain, and fleeting sunshine is perhaps the best and only way to describe it. In fact, the weather dictates every aspect of life, from the viability of planting potatoes to the possibility of launching the fishing boats. But the ocean, while a barrier, is also the island's lifeblood. The cold, nutrient-rich waters surrounding the archipelago support a thriving marine ecosystem, most notably the Tristan rock lobster, a cornerstone of the island's economy. Beyond the main island, the archipelago is the home of 3 mostly uninhabited neighbors: Inaccessible Island, Nightingale Island, and Go Island. Now, true to its name, Inaccessible Island is very much inaccessible. It's an extinct volcano ringed by formidable cliffs, making any landing a perilous undertaking that has led to at least 3 shipwrecks that have made the attempt. This fortress-like geography has preserved its unique ecosystem so perfectly that it's designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and serves as the exclusive home of the Inaccessible Island rail, the smallest flightless bird on Earth. A short distance away lies the smaller Nightingale Island, which, while also lacking a permanent settlement, plays a vital role in Tristanian culture. Islanders make seasonal trips here in their longboats for traditional hunting and egg gathering. Nightingale itself is a globally significant bird sanctuary, home to millions of nesting seabirds, including vast colonies of great shearwaters and rockhopper penguins. Finally, much farther away, is Go Island, also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But unlike Inaccessible Island, this one is accessible, albeit only by a small team of 6 people that maintain an important Antarctic weather station. So Tristan da Cunha is not just a solitary peak, but the main island of a small and very distant archipelago. So how did humans end up in a place so far away and so inhospitable? The desire for that kind of isolation is something that many of us can understand, especially in our digital lives where privacy is so hard to come by. Our personal information is completely exposed online. Hundreds of companies called data brokers legally collect and sell your data online without your consent. This can include everything from your full name, home address, and phone number, to your financial information and even political beliefs. And this exposure can significantly increase your risk of being targeted by scams. That's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in. Incogni is a service that helps you reclaim your privacy by automatically contacting these data brokers and demanding that they remove your personal information. The process is fully automated, and because data can often reappear, Incogni works continuously to ensure that your data stays off of these websites. As Incogni says, if they can't find you, they can't harm you. And now, with their unlimited plan, you can also make custom removal requests. See a site with your information on it that you want erased, and you can flag it for Incogni, and poof, they'll take care of it. Visit incogni.com/JeoffDeal and use code JeoffDeal to get 60% off an annual plan. The link is in the description below. An island that's so isolated and so hard to get to might not seem like the best place for humans to settle. And yet, on the main island Tristan da Cunha is a settlement that not only was settled, but has endured for over 2 centuries. This is Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, a town with fewer than 250 people that still live there to this day. Now, for centuries after its first sighting by Portuguese Admiral Tristan da Cunha in 1506, the island remained a ghost on maritime maps. Navigators noted its existence, but its sheer cliffs and unruly weather offered basically no incentive to land. It was a place of seals, seabirds, and solitude, visited only fleetingly by whaling crews and explorers. And the first attempt at settlement was as wild as the island itself. In 1810, an American from Salem, Massachusetts, named Jonathan Lambert, landed on the island with a few companions, and boldly declared himself sovereign of the Islands of Refreshment. His reign was short-lived, however, as Lambert and his men drowned in a fishing accident only a couple years later. So really, more of a false start for humans on the island than anything else. The true beginning of a permanent community came from an unexpected source: geopolitical paranoia. In 1816, with Napoleon Bonaparte exiled on the nearby island of St. Helena, the British Empire grew anxious that France might use Tristan da Cunha as a staging post for a rescue mission. To preempt this, the United Kingdom formally annexed the archipelago and established a small military garrison. They also did this to prevent American Navy ships from using the islands as a base, something they did during the recent War of 1812. Now, the threat of a Napoleonic escape never materialized, and so, a year later, the garrison was ordered to withdraw. But here, history took a decisive turn. A Scottish corporal named William Glass, along with his wife and 2 children, requested permission to stay. Joined by 2 other soldiers, he became the leader of the fledgling, now civilian, settlement. From this, a unique society began to grow. Over the following decades, the population was bolstered by a trickle of new arrivals, almost all of whom were men brought to the island by chance. They were shipwrecked mariners and whalers from distant shores, Englishmen, Italians, Dutchmen, and Americans, who, finding themselves on Tristan, chose to make it their home. But the isolated community of bachelors faced a real problem. There were few women, and so they petitioned a passing ship's captain to bring back wives for them from St. Helena. This influx of women, combined with the diverse origins of the men, created the distinct genetic and cultural foundation of the Tristanian people. A simple, egalitarian society flourished based on a code of shared work and resources. To this day, the entire settlement is still dominated by just 7 family names: Glass, Green, Hagen, Lavarello, Repetto, Rogers, and Swain. While the settlement got off its feet in the 1800s, the 1900s brought the most severe test of the settlement's resilience. On October 1961, the island the settlement was on began to shake and spew ash. The dormant volcano, which had given them their home, violently erupted. A new volcanic cone rose from the potato patches, spewing smoke and lava just a few hundred yards from their homes. The entire population of 264 islanders was forced into a dramatic emergency evacuation, first to a neighboring island, and then all the way to England. For the first time, the Tristanians were thrust into the bustling, complex world of 1960s Britain, a world of traffic, television, and money that was completely alien to their cooperative, non-cash economy. Many assumed that was the end for Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, and that its people would never go back. Why would they trade the comforts and opportunities of modern England for a life of hardship on a remote rock? But the pull of home, of the island they called the settlement, was stronger than anyone anticipated. And so, when given the choice, the islanders voted overwhelmingly to return. In 1963, the majority sailed back across the Atlantic, ready to rebuild their homes and their lives. This singular decision is the reason why anyone at all lives on Tristan da Cunha today. But it bears repeating. Why and how do people live in such an isolated part of the world today? And what's it like? Having seen the outside world, the people of Tristan da Cunha made a deliberate choice to return to their isolated volcanic home. This decision raises a compelling question for our hyper-connected age. What is life actually like in the world's most remote community? And what is the profound appeal that makes this isolation a cherished prize rather than a punishment? Today, Edinburgh of the Seven Seas is home to somewhere around 240 people, nearly all of whom are descendants of the handful of settlers who arrived in the 1800s. But this doesn't mean the settlement is stuck in the 1800s. In reality, the people there have the basic amenities of a modern town, but on a miniature scale. There's a school for all of the island's children, a small hospital staffed by a resident doctor, a post office that is a lifeline for news and goods, and the island store, which stocks essentials that can't be grown or raised locally. The social hub of the island is the Albatross Bar, the only pub where the entire community gathers. To make money and buy things from the mainland, the island's economy is a unique hybrid of modern commerce and traditional subsistence. The main source of income comes from the sea. A modern fishing boat and processing factory prepares the famous Tristan rock lobster for export, a delicacy prized in markets across the globe. And it's this single industry that provides all the cash needed to import fuel, manufactured goods, and other necessities. But also, this formal economy is built on self-sufficiency. Every family has their designated potato patches in a communal farming area away from the settlement, where they grow the staple of their diet. They also raise cattle and sheep and are adept at fishing, knitting, and maintaining their own homes. Most islanders are masters of many trades, holding a formal job at a factory or in government while also being a farmer, a builder, and a mechanic out of necessity. So why would anyone choose this life? The allure lies in what Tristan offers that the outside world has largely lost. The primary benefit is an almost absolute sense of safety and community. There is virtually no crime on Tristan da Cunha. People don't lock their doors, and car keys are often left in the ignition. In a place where everyone is a relative or a lifelong neighbor, the concept of communal responsibility is not an ideal. It's a simple fact of daily life. Children play freely across the settlement, looked after by any adult who happens to be nearby. It's a society free from the stress of urban life. There's no traffic jams, no long commutes, and no fear of violent crime. In exchange for variety and convenience, Tristanians have a profound sense of belonging and peace. Now, if all of this is suddenly sounding very appealing to you, you should know that this fragile culture is fiercely protected, which is why moving to Tristan da Cunha is nearly impossible. Despite its small size, the island is not seeking new residents. There's no immigration program or path to citizenship for curious outsiders looking to escape their hectic life. The right to live on Tristan is reserved for those born there. The only exceptions are for essential expatriate workers, such as doctors and teachers, who are brought in on fixed-term contracts. Marrying an islander can be a path to residency, but even this is not automatic and is subject to the approval of the island council. This strict policy is not born of unfriendliness, but of practicality. Even UK citizens, of which the island is a part, are not able to move there. The island has very limited resources, a delicate ecosystem, and a social structure that could be easily overwhelmed by just a handful of new residents. So it's a measure of survival, designed to preserve the very way of life that makes Tristan so special. Today, there are fewer than 250 people living on the island, and that number is not expected to go up. In fact, the population of the island is aging and, unfortunately, shrinking. In 2016, there was a recorded 293 people living on the island. So what does the future hold for the world's most isolated settlement? At its current rate, complete abandonment. Isolation is a weird way to describe Tristan da Cunha's people because, in many ways, its people are anything but. They're very connected to each other, and that provides a level of comfort that few of us in the rest of the world actually get. This week I'm exploring Latvia's capital city, Riga, which is far more wealthy and beautiful than I expected. If that interests you, be sure to catch it over on my travel channel. I hope you enjoyed learning all about the most isolated settlement in the world. If you did, you'd probably enjoy this video all about the Falkland Islands. Thanks for watching, see you next time.